Hi! So, I'm going to be doing the mid-year book Freakout tag, and I am so excited because I have so many good books to talk to you guys about. So let's get started. So the first question is, what is the best book you've read so far this year? And this was super easy for me. For me, it is Dry by Neil Shusterman. If you watched my June wrap-up video, you will know how much I love Neil Shusterman. And Dry is about the California water crisis and what happens when Arizona and Nevada cut them off from their water supply. Amazing. Biggest fear is not having water now, so thanks, Neil. The next question is, what is the best sequel you've read so far this year? And this, without a doubt, can you guess, is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. I talked about this in my June wrap-up. It is unpredictable. It takes so many turns that I just didn't see coming. There were parts that were confusing in the best way possible. I highly recommend that if you haven't read Scythe yet, that you read it and then read Thunderhead. And if you've read Scythe and haven't read Thunderhead, what are you doing? Get on it. The next question is, what is a book that's been released this year that you haven't read yet but want to? And for me, that is The Missing Season by Gillian French. Not much to say about this, just really want to read it. It's a mystery thriller about someone called the Mumbler, and I am super interested. I won this in a giveaway from YA Book Club or something like that. And so I'm super excited to finally read it. The next question is, what are the most anticipated releases for the second half of the year? For me, this obviously has to be The Toll by Neil Shusterman and also The Chestnut Man. I don't know how to say this person's name, so I'll put it on the screen over here somewhere because it's a lot. He's, I think, Norwegian, and I don't speak Norwegian, so. But I'm super excited for both of those. The Chestnut Man is a mystery thriller, and The Toll is obviously the last book in the arc of the Scythe. Number 5 is, what is your biggest disappointment this year? And do I have some opinions about this one? It is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I read this expecting so much. The movie, both the old one and the new one, were just okay for me. They weren't too spooky, but they were also kind of spooky, and I was expecting a lot from the book. Not really that great. I have a blog post up about it that I will link in the description if you want to find out my feelings around this book, like all of them in depth. They're there. But I'm not going to go into it in this video. The next question is, what was the biggest surprise this year? For me, that has to be A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I saw this book a lot in high school. It was circulated around. Everybody seemed to be reading it, but it just didn't seem like something I would enjoy. And then I read the Red Queen series, and I loved the politics in it, so I finally picked this one up, and I loved it way more than I thought I would because I wasn't super into fairies. I'm still not super into fairies, but they tend to be a trending topic right now, so this was actually really, really good. The next prompt is your favorite new author. This means either new to you or new this year. They've just released their debut, and this obviously has to be Neil Shusterman. Are we kidding? Like, are we still questioning whether or not I love Neil Shusterman? Question mark? No, it's Neil Shusterman. Obviously. An honorable mention for that category is definitely Danielle Vega and the Merciless series for my new favorite. One of a favorite new author. She's not new to the scene, but she's new to me, so definitely her. And Neil. Duh. The next question is your fictional crush, newest fictional crush, and that has to be Lucian. I know he's not in this one a lot, but I don't want to show A Court of Thorns and Roses again, so we're gonna go with this one. I don't know why I love him, but I do. I loved him in the first one, liked him in this one. Rhysand is also kind of an honorable mention, but those are the only two, really. The next question is, who is your newest favorite character? This was so easy. I was sitting in front of this bookshelf, looking at all the books I've read, thinking, who could this possibly be? And it hit me instantly. August from this Savage song. He's just so great, and he's like a monster, but he doesn't want to be, and he wants to be human, and he's like such a good soul that I just can't even with him. The next question is a book that made you cry. I talked about this one in my June wrap-up. Hi, I'm editing this, and I just want to say, go watch my June wrap-up if you haven't. There's not a lot of views on it. Probably not going to be a lot of views on this either, but go watch my June wrap-up. So, can you guess? Girl in Pieces by Kathleen Glasgow. This is so sad. It's so sad. I love Charlie with my whole heart. I just love her. I think that everything she's going through is mega relatable for anyone who's ever dealt with issues. It is a great book for someone who's going through this or has gone through this, because Charlie makes some great character development in this, and I just love this book. It gave me so many feelings. Recommend. Now, the next prompt is a book that made you happy. And I kind of looked at my shelf and I couldn't really think of any. In this part, I talk about 5 Feet Apart, but it's not that interesting, and I don't consider it a book that's made me happy, so I just cut it out. But 5 Feet Apart was an honorable mention, I guess, because it's cute. Another question is, what is the most beautiful book you've bought this year? And that either has to be 5 Feet Apart, The Merciless, 3, because like look at this cover, like look at it, it's so beautiful, and I don't know if you can see on camera, but it has like sparkles on it. There it is, there we go. So either of these, they're so beautiful, they're worth mentioning. The next and last question is, what books do you need to read before the end of the year? A lot, but I've narrowed it down to just a few, starting with It by Stephen King. I really want to read this before the second part of the movie comes out in September. It's a big book, but I do have the audiobook, so this is probably going to be my next read after I read How to Make Friends with the Dark by Kathleen Glasgow. The next book that I need to finish before the end of the year is Hunting Prince Dracula by Carrie Maniscalco. Don't know if that's how you say her last name, but it sounds right, so. I just am excited for this. I really love Stalking Jack the Ripper. Been meaning to read this, but I just haven't yet. Also in the audiobook to this, so hopefully it'll happen soon. I know I've harped on this series a lot in this video, but also I need to finish the Merciless series by Daniel Vega. I only have 2 more books. They're both pretty small, so I'm not afraid of these like I am for It. So need to finish these. And the last book I need to finish before the end of the year is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I've been putting this off. I wasn't planning on buying it, and then I did because it was discounted to like $7. I want to finish this book this year because I've been putting it off because I don't want this series to end, but I also am not interested in A Court of Frost and Starlight or something like that. I think that's the title, because everybody says nothing happens in that. But apparently it like bridges the gap of like a series, so maybe I should read it. So that's the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching my mid-year book freakout tag. If you guys want to answer some of these questions in the comments, you totally can. Or make the video yourself and leave it in the comments. Let's support each other here. So, I will see you guys in the next video. Now I have to put all these books back on my shelf. Hip hip hooray.